Immaculate skills, the wolf's lone aim. No price too high, his heart aflame. Yet wayward efforts brought no gain, a futile vision, all in vain. Among the wolf guais, there was a young one, ambitious and always seeking rapid progress on the path of Tao. However, his time spent practicing was short, and his skills remained shallow. He couldn't yet grasp the deeper techniques of his clan, leaving him impatient. One day, during his routine patrol, he carried a cask of fine wine. As he passed the mountain gate, he encountered the gatekeeper, Guard, who had a weakness for liquor. Eager to learn, the young wolf shared the wine with Guard and seized the opportunity to inquire about secret techniques. Partaken in the wine, feeling compelled, Guard taught him a few tricks. Rejoicing, the young wolf hurried home to practice. 2 months passed, and having found little benefit in those teachings, he contemplated giving up. Recalling his previous success in bartering wine for knowledge, he retrieved a small golden statue and approached the snake patroller. Persuaded by gold, the greedy creature shared some techniques with him. Back at home, the young wolf practiced as instructed. Another month passed, yet his gains remained minimal. Undeterred, he repeated his tactics with other guais, exchanging valuables for teachings. Over time, he visited everyone in the mountain, amassing a repertoire of techniques. Yet, despite practicing one today and another the next, he made no progress. Eventually, a compassionate elder wolf offered guidance. Yet, the young wolf conversely started lecturing the kind old wolf with his strange mastery, leaving him speechless. From that point on, no one in the clan was willing to teach him. Wolf Sworn Sword. Meager of wit, wrapped in white attire, in sludge they crawl, yet yearn for higher. Bent to power, king's favor they seek, where even lowly fowls may peek. A white-robed guai, patrolling the hills, seized a sword from a traveler. Jewels studded its scabbard, its blade sharp and bright. Coveting it, he strapped the sword to his side, reveling in its splendor. Yet, when it was time to give tribute, he hid it away. The other guais chided. Without offering such treasures to the king, how will you earn his favor? Or do you fancy patrolling forever? The wolf guai scoffed. Such treasures we cherish, the king barely notices. You offer scrap metal and dream for favor? You are fools. They dismissed his words, seeing them as mere excuses to shirk his duty while they toiled on. The wolf guai indulged in peaches and drank wherever he could lay his hands on them, keeping the very best for himself. The others knew his punishment would come, and waited. One day, the Black Wind King held a lecture on Buddhism in the mountains, speaking of enlightenment and revival. His guardians spread paper talismans, and all were commanded to consume them before the chanting and prayers. Hours later, the king inquired about their enlightenment. A pause fell. Then, the white-robed wolf guais stood, and there emerged others, one by one. The next day, a decree was issued to the guardians. The wolf guai was promoted to a minor captain, and all the other guais, puzzled, whispered amongst themselves. How had the wolf guai not only escaped punishment, but found himself rewarded? The Wolf Stalwart. Neither skies care, nor earth will hold. By liquor's laugh, bold spirits unfold. In drunken dreams, a cosmos wide, wake with worries cast aside. Rare was the revelry for the minor guais who patrolled the mountain paths. Their delights not granted, but taken in human guise, thieving sustenance from unsuspecting townsfolk. The charade proved fleeting, for the villagers grew wise to their deceit, and the guais, oft caught mid-bite, were met with the town's rugged justice, deterring their mischief. Among them was a wolf guai with a penchant for drink, who, on a day of insolence, lay beneath an ancient tree. Suddenly, an elder wolf, cloaked in feathers of a crane, appeared to him asking, "Why forsake your patrol for idleness?" The wolf guai sighed. "I long for a drink, but the townsfolk see through me. I'm left to quench my thirst only in my dreams." The elder chuckled as he whispered a secret. "Seek the shrine. Conceal yourself behind the curtains, and the sacred spirit's liquor shall be yours to drink." Then, with a shift in form, he vanished. Wavering in doubt, the wolf guai transformed and hurried to the town shrine. There, veiled behind the curtain, a sacred effigy stood, its origins unknown. The altar, laden with delectable offerings and fine spirits. As advised, he nestled himself between the curtains, indulging in the liquor until his belches betrayed him to the gathering crowd in the shrine. Trapped between the curtains, the wolf guai listened as a voice rang out. "The wine jar I offered is empty. Our tributes were received." A chorus of prayers erupted, beseeching the favor from the immortals. From that day forth, folks from miles around flocked to the shrine, affording the demon endless drink. But as the days passed, the once delightful treat turned bitter, and those prayers, be them pious or greedy, weighed heavily upon him with helplessness. One day, unable to endure the bitterness any longer, the wolf guai burst from behind the curtains, hoisting the jar and smashing it on the altar amidst the screams of the onlookers. With a deafening crash, he stood awoke. Beneath the tree, no shrine, no incense, no crowd around. With a tired sigh, he took up his axe and set off to patrol the mountains once more. The Wolf Soldier. Sun-swept hills they guard and tread, from glint of steel their daily bread. Far flung from their native land, at nights for home their souls shall stand. Ever since the black bear guai returned from Guan Yin and crowned himself king, he boasted of the new arts he had learned. Tales of his newfound method of practice and power of revival allured many a guai to Black Wind Mountain. Seeking the king's favor, these minions toiled with abandon. Among them, a wolf guai worked with tireless zeal. He rose before dawn, patrolled the mountains, and continued well into the night. All of the treasures he found were first laid at the king's feet. His life was one of labor, and yet without a moment to make friends. Despite his dedication, his presence barely stirred a whisper among the others, and his name was seldom uttered. His brother, seeing such unacknowledged dedication, spent his savings for a seat in the king's lecture. The wolf guai sat there, heavy with regret for the silver he had squandered, both on the journey here and the seat at the lecture, that could have been used to buy himself a shield or blade. Had I a new blade, he mused, glory could have been mine. As he pondered this, golden-clad guardians scattered paper talismans before him. Commanded to consume them, they then chanted in meditation for hours until the king sought signs of enlightenment. The white-robed wolf guai stood first, claiming a fervor within and clarity of mind. The diligent wolf guai thought to himself, sweating fervently in a crowd is no marvel. Achieving clarity after chanting is no miracle. Just as he was lost in thought, the blue ox guai rose next, followed by the others. The diligent wolf guai stayed seated, unsure, until the king gestured for them all to sit down. Later, treasures were doled out. The ox guai received a golden pill, the white-robed wolf guai a title, but the diligent one kept his old shield and dull blade, patrolling the mountain still. Only, from then on, he did it all under the white-robed one's whims, ever obedient. The Wolf Archer. A master archer, none can compare. Timid when danger fills the air, never brave when faced with fear. Escape his choice, he stays clear. The Black Wind King hosted a banquet in the temple to celebrate his birthday, and all of the yaoguais attended. During the feast, the king hung a lucky ornament on a tree branch, declaring that anyone who could shoot it would receive a rare fortifying golden pill as a reward. The yaoguais were eager to try, but the fierce wind hampered all their attempts. Among the guests was an old wolf known for his remarkable archery skills. He was cautious, unassuming, and kept to himself in a corner, nursing his drink. A few eager yaoguais asked him to try, and though he declined, they persisted with their teasing until he reluctantly agreed. Slowly, the wizened old wolf stood up and moved to the position. Some youngsters laughed at him, deeming him incapable. Unperturbed, he calmly strung his bow, let loose an arrow, and struck the target dead center, causing a commotion among the crowd. The old wolf received the reward, and admiration followed suit as others toasted him. Among them was a youngster who commented on the bolus intoxicated. "How generous our king is," he remarked. "Far better than that linguisi, who was good at making pills but never shared them with his underlings. What a tightwad." The youngster's words cast a shadow across the old wolf's face, and he silently took his leave. He had roamed the mountain with Ling Shuisi long before our king's reign. Yet, you judged his deceased former master in front of him. Loyal as he is, you're in trouble now," warned an elder guai. However, the young guai shrugged off his warning. The next day, the old wolf returned the golden pill to the king, citing its value too high to be possessed by an archer. Hearing the news, the other yaoguais urged the young one to apologize and seek forgiveness, but he remained defiant. Within a few days, while venturing outside, the youngster was killed by several arrows, each piercing his heart. Many said that even the golden pill couldn't save the youngster from his fate. The Wolf Sentinel. With his axe as both weapon and cane, his brows bushy, his hair white as snow, who claims the twilight years are in vain? For learning late can still make one grow. Long ago, the wolf sentinels were the personal guards of old Ling Shuisi. They were masters of the long-hafted axe, and their name was spoken in awe among the yaoguais. When the Black Wind King returned from Guanyin and rebuilt the garrison in the mountain, he took in many wolf guais who had wandered here from Shitao Ridge. This angered the wolf guais native to the Black Wind Mountain. To appease them, the Black Bear Guai pledged to revive the old Ling Shuisi. The wolf guais then had no choice but to endure in silence. Yet, mere days after the awakening, the old wolf vanished, and no one had seen him since. Upon learning of this, the Black Bear did not look into the matter, but allowed a senior wolf guai from the kingdom of Shito to take the old Ling Shuisi's seat, and even his name. This roused the local wolf guais to fury and launched protest after protest. To their surprise, the wolf sentinels, at the black bear guai's behest, seized the lesser guais who led the unrest. The new Lingsuise flew into a rage at these guais, threatening to devour them whole. They were spared this fate only by the timely arrival of Guangji, the Fireblade Wolf. Thereafter, under the new Lingsuise's command, the wolf sentinels led every patrol of lesser guais on the mountain. Never did anyone ever dare rise against Lingsuise again. The Wolf Assassin. Hills and rivers, nature's way. Kindness grows like grass and wood. Plants may fade, then bloom in May. All shall still stand where they stood. Once upon a time, a young wolf followed a gray elder wolf to learn the art of hunting. Despite his cleverness and diligence, the young wolf struggled to catch any prey. One day, the pale elder commanded him to find food alone or face hunger. Then, the young wolf, hiding in the shadows of the mountains, finally managed to catch a rabbit. However, instead of eating it alive, he gently licked the rabbit's wounds, as if to heal him. The rabbit took the chance and fled into the pond, struggling to swim to safety. But the young wolf in pursuit forced it back into the water. Just as the rabbit was about to drown, the young wolf secured it, softly nudging its head and helping it breathe. The rabbit woke up, conscious but bewildered. Suddenly, the distant howl of the gray elder startled both of them. In his panic, the young wolf accidentally crushed the rabbit under his paw. Heartbroken, the young wolf wept bitterly. As the elder approached and inquired, it became clear. The young wolf couldn't bring himself to kill the rabbit, so he repeatedly spared its life. Yet, he also feared his own hunger, and that's why he refused to let go. Acknowledged, the gray elder then advised, "Your false kindness brought misery instead of hesitation. Both of you would have been better off with a swift end." The gray elder's words seemed to have dawned upon the young wolf. Later, it honed a lethal technique of hurling whirling blades from afar for stealth kills, believing this to be the ultimate form of mercy towards its adversaries. Bull Guard. Majestic of height, he looms with might, in heavy armor, ready to fight. His eyes, a fearsome, vacant lot, a sage or fool, we know not. Being the gatekeeper of the mountain was a thankless task indeed. For more than a century, Bull Guard stood watch, never once climbing the ranks. Yet, he voiced no grievances, for his devotion to the king was his sole concern, and the king's pills, his only desire. He treasured those pills within a lacquered box of pear wood, lined with silk. Each time he partook of them, he performed a ritual, a process of cleansing, rinsing, and offering incense to the universe, thanking it for its gifts. Many a lesser guai had tasted the king's rewards, but none with such reverence as Bulgard. One day, a curious guai inquired, "How do you maintain such vigor despite the toils of this job?" With earnest simplicity, Bulgard replied, "It is the king's pill that fuels me. Take more, and you shall be as I am." The guai confessed, "We've partaken in our share, yet feel nothing. Mayhaps the king's gifts to you are finer." Bulgard was aghast. "From the same hand we are served. How could there be a mine and yours?" The guai, still skeptical, insisted on the exchange of pills. Soon after, the guai felt no change, while Bulgard remained as robust as ever. Some say a fool's luck, but perhaps it isn't a lack of wit that's compensated, but the power drawn from blind devotion. Lingjuisi. His gray fur speaks of fierce might, with blood-stained fangs that gleam in the night, claws like soul reapers, tail swings death's song, feigns Buddhist ways, but his bloodlust stays strong. The gray wolf guai of the temple was once an exile from the kingdom of Shitao. When Shitao was laid to ruin, the wolves fed, following the gray wolf on a long and weary road, until they found shelter under the banner of the Black Wind King. Unlike the old Lingjuisi, who pursued immortality and detachment, the gray wolf cared nothing for the ways of deities and Buddha, nor for the empty promises of eternal life. Instead, his heart was set on mastering strength and skill. He honed his craft with iron claws and fangs until he could strip the very flesh from the bones of his foes. When the old Lingjuisi vanished, Black Bear Guai saw fit to elevate the Grey Wolf to be the new master of the Wolf Guais, giving him the name Lingjuisi and tasking him with guarding the Guan Yin Temple. The Wolf Guais who came with the new Lingjuisi from the kingdom of Shitao also rose in power and surpassed those who had served longer in the distribution of spoils and favors. The local wolf guais had little affection for the ways of the new Lingjuisi, and, after finding themselves thrust aside, bitterness took root in their hearts. In their shared sense of grievance, they found a new unity of purpose. Often, they gathered in secret, comforting each other, sharing the old memories when the old master was in power, and quietly plotting against the new one. But Lingjuisi was prepared. Under the pretense of a roll call, he gathered the local wolf guais in the temple and gave the signal to his loyal guards to seize the malcontents. The temple erupted into chaos. Lingjuisi then leaped down from the roof into the crowd, ready to devour all who dared to betray him. The Fireblade Wolf, hearing the commotion, rushed over and managed to hold Ling Juisi off and bought the minions time to flee to safety. When Black Wind King learned of this, he was ready to unleash punishment upon all the rebellious wolf guais. But the snake guai mediated, and peace was restored. Yet, from that day forth, the local wolf guais refused to tread even within the shadow of the walls of Guanyin Temple. Guang Ji. To prove his worth, he gave sinister advice, yet reaped the bitter fruits of his own vice. Through justice, remains silent, it never sleeps, and when it strikes, no one escapes its reach. In his youth, Guang Ji was not a monk, but a little wolf guai who yearned to be human. He often took human shape to play in town, but the people always saw through him and chased him away. When he asked the other yaoguais why, they explained, "You may look like them, but you don't act like them. That's why they know. If you want to learn to be human, go live among them. Spend time with them to learn their ways and their manners." He took this advice to heart and begged his master to grant his wish. His master, old Ling Juisi, who was close to the black bear guai in the mountain, agreed. The black bear guai transformed the pup into a little monk and sent him to study under Elder Jinchi, an old friend. At first, the fellow monks disliked him. They played tricks on him, and he always fell for it, slow and gullible as he was. Jinchi named him Guang Ji, the Great Wisdom, hoping he would grow clever and sharp, so his fellow monks couldn't bully him. With Jinchi's care and teaching, Guang Ji learned to read, write, and abide by the monastic rules. Gradually, he assimilated into their ranks. One day, two monks arrived at the temple. One had a fair, devout countenance, while the other had a face covered in fur. They possessed a wondrous treasure, the Kasaya of Eversparks. Jinchi had never seen anything like it before and longed for it desperately. Hoping to repay Jinchi's teachings and nurturing, Guang Ji devised a plan to acquire it for him. Guang Ji never imagined his mistake would ignite red tides of flames that engulfed the temple he called home. Afterward, Jinchi took his own life, and Ling Juisi fell to Jingu Bang. Even the black bear guai surrendered and was taken by Guanyin. Guang Ji saw how many had suffered for his sake, and knew he had failed utterly at being human. He shed his monk robes and retreated to the mountains, repenting with Jinchi's teachings. In his years of practice in the mountains, he forged a new weapon inspired by the raging flames he saw that night. He named it the Red Tides. Even to this day, after numerous years, he continues to hear a persistent call echoing through the mountains. Guang Ji! Guang Ji! Who could it be that keeps calling him? Guang Mao. With a monk's facade, but a serpent's heart, He wields deceit, playing many parts. His desires shift, insatiably pursued, faithless to his master. All teachings eschewed. Guang Mao, the great tactician, was not like his senior fellow pupil, Guang Ji. From a young age, his heart yearned to be a legendary yaoguai master, remembered for ages. But fate had other plans. When old Ling Juisi sent his beloved disciple to Guanyin Temple to be a monk, old White Snake Guai grew worried. The snake feared it was old Ling Juisi's ploy to win favor with the Black Bear Guai, and commanded Guang Mao to join the monkhood as well. Before he left, the snake warned him, never fall behind, least of all behind Guang Ji. But no matter how hard Guang Mao tried, Elder Jinqi never seemed to favor him as much as Guang Ji, even when he learned faster and trained harder. Guang Mao consoled himself, believing this stemmed not from his own failings, but from the snake's ham-fisted meddling, which had turned the elder against him. He found solace in the notion of returning to the mountains one day, when he could embrace his yaoguai nature, unshackled by such trivial concerns. Guang Mao can still recall Jinqi's teachings. You can be too extreme, too uncompromising. Always leave some room and some things unfinished. But the day Jinqi saw the Kasaya of Eversparks, he desired it so intensely that he forgot his own words and wept into the night. Guang Mao saw the thought taking root in the old monk's heart, to kill for this prize. Everyone shied away from the idea, but Guang Ji boldly spoke the truth. Guang Mao seethed with inexplicable rage. In his mind, a scheme within a scheme began to take shape. As Elder Jinqi drank tea with the two monks, Guang Mao glimpsed an untamed malice in the monkey's eyes, a hunger for vengeance. Building on Guang Ji's gambit, Guang Mao goaded and prodded, weaving a merciless plot that left no room for escape. The old monk was delighted, and for the first time, he acknowledged Guang Mao's wit. With his plan set, Guang Mao knew that doom would strike that night. Summoning a gust of wind, he hid in the bamboo grove behind the mountain. As anticipated, a great fire broke out that night, but it failed to kill the two journeying monks as intended. Instead, it burned the entire temple to the ground. Alas, the world harbors such petty souls, capable of ensnaring the lofty and vanquishing them with cunning plots. Perhaps this is what is meant by slaying with a borrowed blade. Elder Jinqi. With empty hands he preached, yet gold was his quest. He left no wealth, just doctrines to attest. A life of greed. His doom was sealed tight. If deeds were weighed, would he still face his plight? After 2 months of peace, Tang Monk reined in his horse. He saw towers and halls nestled deep in the fold of the mountains. At the gate of the place, they saw that it was indeed a temple. The master and his disciple exchanged greetings before passing through the mountain gate. In the main hall, they saw the name of the place, Guan Yin Temple. Tang Monk was overjoyed, but Monkey said, "Master, this is no good place. Better to leave soon." But the monk wouldn't listen. He knelt before every golden statue he saw in prayer, and the monkey, impatient with his master's attitude, began to strike the bell incessantly, startling all the monks in the temple. Those from the upper and lower halls all poured out. The monks greeted Tang Monk. Monkey used his see-through eyes to look around and laughed. "Why do you monks here look so sickly and weak, with your spirits drained? Have you broken the precepts?" In Tang Monk's perception, the monks all wore brand new kasayas and had tall, sturdy bodies. He considered Monkey's words to be mere nonsense and remarked, "Don't speak so recklessly." Then he turned to apologize to the monks. The monks themselves regarded Monkey's words as nonsense as well. Only 2 small monks, hidden in the crowd, dared not reveal themselves. The elder of the temple invited the master and disciple to the back chamber for tea. After the monks had taken their seats and the feast was laid out, the 2 small monks assisted the elderly monk inside. Tang Monk bowed respectfully. The 2 exchanged a few pleasantries, and Tang Monk inquired, "May I ask about your esteemed age, venerable elder?" The old monk replied, "Despite my many mistakes, I have lived to see my 270th year." When Monkey heard this, he laughed and said, "Old skinflint, why do I smell yaoguai in this temple?" A small monk was just then using an exquisite vessel to pour 3 cups of fragrant tea for them. Monkey stared at him and said, "Where are you from, little monk?" The small monk set down the tea and swiftly hid behind the old monk. Biting his finger, he said, "This one has a furry face and a strange head. He's a bit scary." Tang Monk glanced at Monkey and said, "Mind your words. Don't offend people with your brashness." He then shifted the conversation by praising the tea and the vessels. The old monk didn't seem to mind. Instead, he asked Tang Monk, "Noble sir, hailing from the Emperor's capital, might you have any treasures that you could lend me for a mere glimpse?" Tang Monk declined repeatedly, but Monkey laughed and said, "Master, isn't your kasaya itself a treasure? Why not allow him a glimpse?" All the monks laughed. Then They brought out 12 cases of casayas and unfurled them, and hung them up for Tang Monk to see. But Monkey laughed and said, very well, put them away. Bring ours out for a look too. Tang Monk grabbed Monkey and tried hard to stop him. But Monkey said, do not fret. I know what I am doing. Without more words, he took out the casayas for the monks to see. As the old monk gazed upon such a wonder, his spirit was touched. He walked up to Tang Monk and knelt with tears in his eyes. This humble monk is very bereft of fortune. My eyes are dim and clouded. I cannot see it clearly. Monkey laughed again and said, and how do you intend to inspect it clearly? The old monk replied, if you would be so kind and trusting, allow me to take it back to my bedchamber and study it carefully overnight. I shall return it to you tomorrow morning before your departure. May I know your thoughts on this? Upon hearing this, Tang Monk was startled and chided Monkey. Monkey laughed and said, what are you afraid of? Let him take it for a look. If anything goes wrong, I'll handle it. The Crow Diviner. He knows the world's fate through divination, yet cannot secure his own salvation. In what he thought was a place of peace, fate's tangled threads never cease. It is said that the crows gathering in temples, having listened to sutras and teachings every day, developed a spiritual nature and could predict fortune and misfortune. Thus, some fortune tellers, who call themselves crow diviners, like to set up stalls in front of temples, using crows to pick fortune sticks for divination. They always lit sandalwood incense, which symbolizes the temples, at their stalls, and claimed that their crows were the spiritually enlightened ones from the temple. One such crow diviner had a crow he had raised from a chick, which could communicate with him using specially made fortune sticks. Every day, he sent the crow to various parts of the city to observe people's lives. When clients came to seek fortunes, he would use the fortune sticks to inquire about information from the crows. He mixed this information with his own understanding of human affairs, weaving prophecies that were half true, which often managed to deceive. One day, an official came seeking a fortune, offering a large sum of money. The crow diviner told him that his official career would be prosperous and that he would reach a high position. Unexpectedly, the official not only failed to get promoted that year, but was demoted instead. Enraged, the official brought his household servants to demand an explanation. The crow diviner used the information gathered by the crows to explain that the official had not spent enough money on temple renovation, which magically convinced him. The official, deeply believing in his abilities, even introduced the Crow Diviner to his colleagues. The Crow Diviner amassed a considerable fortune through this, but he knew too many secrets of the officials and feared for his life. He decided to change his career. One day, he attempted to drive all the crows away, but they refused to leave. The Crow Diviner tried various means to get rid of them, but the crows, unable to endure his mistreat any longer, attacked and pecked him to death. Afterward, the crows transformed into human forms, donned the attire of fortune tellers, and continued to sell fortunes around the temple, deceiving people as the Crow Diviner had done. Croaky. In pools they dwell, forms unrefined, ugly and odd, voices entwined, bellies swell with a raucous tune. In death they burst an angry boom. Two frog guais practiced in the marshes. The smaller frog was often bullied, yet the bigger one always stood up for him, and soon they forged a strong friendship. One day, amid a contest held by Ba Linga Long, to appoint a sergeant among all frogs, turmoil stirred and rippled through the ranks. Finally, the choice was narrowed down to two: the brawny big frog and the quick-witted small frog. Though the other frogs were discontented, they dared not voice their dissent. The two then were assigned to guard the dwelling of Ba Linga Long. On their duty, a valuable amber glass was found broken. Unable to identify the culprit, all the frogs began clamoring for punishment against the two instead. The big frog attempted to reason with them, but got antagonized by their words and soon escalated the argument into a brawl. The frogs interpreted this as his reaction out of embarrassment, hence evidence of his guilt. The small frog, meanwhile, remained silent beside them. Seeing this, the big frog chided him for not speaking up in his defense, and even began to suspect his smaller companion. Hesitated for a while, the small frog then admitted to breaking the glass. However, the other frogs dismissed his confession, arguing that one of them had committed premeditated vandalization, while the other had neglected his duty, and both deserved punishment by death. The small frog grew anxious and could not help but engage in the argument. As their voice grew louder and louder, their bellies inflated larger and larger, until some of them finally burst, splattering blood and flesh all over the place, leaving none unsoiled. Ba Li Ge Long. Wrinkles on his skin, so snug. A whiff of air, a fishy hug. Legs that spring to heights above, from the dirt below, and muck they love. In the lands west of Black Wind Mountain, within a kingdom named Hami, stood a small town. Every day before dawn, a humble market would gather just outside the town gate. It was a place where peddlers exchanged goods while waiting for the gate to open. But, due to the prices, even the townsfolk began to participate. Thus, this market gradually gained its reputation. A few months ago, an odd oil peddler arrived at the market, garbed in robes of a pearly turquoise color and with eyes that gleamed like copper bells. He had a voice that rang out with a boom, and his breath was foul and pungent. Yet, he happened to be a keen talker and naturally was disliked by everyone. The oil he produces, on the other hand, was sought after by everyone. Who would not prefer the oil clear and smooth? And not to mention its price. One could exchange but a pinch of fragrant powder for a large gourd of such oil. One day, a wandering Taoist passed through the town and decided to visit the market. He enjoyed his experience until he sensed an eerie green mist emanating from that old peddler. A guai, no doubt. The monk chanted, and before the peddler could manage a decent struggle, it revealed its true form: a green-skinned giant frog. The bystanders were startled and grabbed whatever they could use to attack. The frog kicked the ground with both legs, leaped higher than a tree, and swiftly fled towards the mountains. In pursuit, the folks arrived at the marshes, where they witnessed countless small frogs scraping mucus from each other's bodies, collecting it in a large barrel. They then applied fragrant powder to themselves, hugging and sniffing each other in sheer delight. Silently, the people approached and peered into the barrel. The mucus inside gleamed with clarity, just like the oil they had favored. At the sight, they were occupied by bouts of nausea and began to vomit. None had the strength to pursue and kill the guais. All the frogs noticed this and hastily fled, leaving the marshes filled with a rather unique scene. The Black Wind King. The future's dark. Destinies, winds may shift. Each rise and fall comes in its drift. Once a guardian of the southern sea, greed turned him to a slave of misery. Since his return from Guanyin, the Black Wind King's spirit brimmed with grand plans. He vowed to restore his might in the mountains. He knew well that after years away, to win respect from the yaoguais, strength alone would not make them bow. So he took many steps to try to earn both awe and loyalty. When he was with Guanyin, he learned the mantra of revival, harnessing the voluntary self-sacrifice of wolf guais. He brought back old Lingjuisi from death. But that ungrateful old wolf left only a few words after the revival and vanished from his sight again. The Black Wind King feared the wolf pack would fall apart without a leader. he had to choose another wolf to head the pack. A gray wolf guai, who wandered here from Shito Ridge. Strong and in his prime, was a fine choice. The Black Wind King gave him the name of Ling Shuisi and helped him take the seat. Yet, the wolf pack rose against their new master in the temple, and it almost led to a bloodbath among kin. In his frustration, the Black Wind King used the mantra to try and bring back to life the old monk he used to practice with. But the soul of the monk did not return to the stitched corpse. Instead, it fused with the gold, silver, and copper coins the monk had buried in life, forming a maddening golem. It wandered and disturbed the mountain garrison day after day, never relenting. The newly appointed white-clad noble is far from ordinary. He typically indulges in solitary reading and poetry. Despite his outward appearance of loyalty and sincerity, he remains shrouded in mystery, making it impossible for others to fathom his true intentions. Alas, to think too highly of oneself and end up achieving nothing. It is true that they say, a fool with ambition is worse than a nobody. Black Bear Guai. In Guan Yin's grove, his greed won't cease. Southern tides bring no release. Schemes cloud his sight. On Bodhi Peak, he learnt life's worth is peace. In the purple bamboo grove where Guan Yin resided, life was usually tranquil. The Black Bear Guai spent his days eating bamboo shoots with Aster and drinking homemade bamboo leaf brew. His days had become so unremarkable, they almost faded into nothingness. One day, the Long Princess paid him a sudden visit with Red Boy, her servant. Flustered, the black bear hastily gathered his dishes, trying to hide the mess. The Long Princess rolled her eyes and asked, "Have you thought about the task Guan Yin mentioned to you a few days ago?" Black Bear Guai didn't answer. He simply retrieved a box out of the chest and handed it to the Long Princess. Red Boy snatched it and opened it. Inside was a transparent, honey-fried sugar sculpture of an immortal riding a lion, known as a lion immortal candy. Yesterday, there was a Dharma assembly. At the top of the feast, there was an exquisite, eye-catching sugar sculpture. I specially saved it for you, as a token of my respect. Do you presume to understand my tastes? Keep this for the children. Hearing this, Red Boy lost interest and stuffed the box back into Black Bear Guai's arm. Only then did the Long Princess let out a contemptuous laugh. Cognizant of his blunder, Black Bear Guai mumbled, "I'm willing to serve, but my abilities are mediocre. I'm afraid I can't handle such an important matter." The Long Princess replied, "Do you think we don't know that? Don't worry. There will be those fiercer and much more ruthless than you leading the charge. No work, no reward. If it's a thorny matter, I might not be able to handle it. Guan Yin will attend to all. No thorny matters shall prevail. Do not try to fool me. Guan Yin instructed me to practice here quietly. Why would she intervene? The Long Princess wore a long face and said, "How can you be so timid? This is a great opportunity. More people are vying for it than you could even imagine. Guan Yin chose you only because she wanted someone she could trust. Can't you see that?" Black Bear Guai was speechless for a long time. The Long Princess had run out of patience. So little ambition. Forget it. I'll let Guan Yin know. Dear Princess, Honorable Princess, that's not what I meant. I'll go. Only when she saw the eager look in Black Bear Guai's eyes did the princess roll her eyes again. Leaving Red Boy behind, she drifted away. Seeing her leave, Red Boy hastily asked Black Bear Guai, "What exactly is this task? I want to leave. Why don't you tell Guan Yin to take me with you?" It's a matter of great importance. But just as you heard, Guan Yin didn't want you to go. Don't pester me anymore. I don't want to lose this opportunity for your sake. A few days later, Black Bear Guai had finished his preparations. Wielding a black tasseled spear, he was about to set off. Red Boy, who had been waiting outside the bamboo grove for days, hurriedly caught up with him and once again insisted on accompanying him. Contrary to his usual manner, Black Bear Guai tried to persuade him. Red Boy, Guan Yin instructed that you must stay here. Even your father has been pressed into service this time. Surely, you can see how perilous it is. This is no laughing matter. He touched the encaging band around his head and sighed. To risk one's life just to remove a headband, it's not worth it. With that, he transformed his body into a black wind and swiftly vanished, paying no heed to Red Boy's desperate shouts. Afterward, Red Boy waited for him outside the bamboo grove for a long time, but he never saw him return. Later, when Red Boy recalled, he realized that it was the last time he ever saw Black Bear Guai in Guan Yin's place again.